Station Harmony appeared on the view screen like a bright star in the darkness. It was not a large station, not compared to the massive military bases or commercial hubs scattered across the galaxy, but it was beautiful in its own way. Circular and open, built to welcome all species, built with love. Day-Wan stood at the window and looked at his home. He had been gone for 3 weeks. It felt like much longer. He was tired. His old body needed rest, but his heart was full. He was going home. Thakor stood beside him. His massive frame made Day-Wan look even smaller. But there was tenderness in how the Supreme Commander positioned himself. Protective, gentle, like he was guarding something precious. I used to play in that section. Thakor pointed to a part of the station. Mother Jiwoo would take me there. She said I needed to run and climb. To use my energy. She was right. I was always so full of anger and energy. She knew I needed to move. She understood children, Day-Wan said. All children. It did not matter what species they were. She could see what they needed. She had that gift. I wish I could see her again. To thank her. To tell her what I became, she knows, Day-Wan said with certainty. Wherever she is, she knows, and she is proud of you. The flagship docked at the station. But before Day-Wan could disembark, there was a surprise waiting. The docking bay was full of people. Dozens of them. Maybe 100. Different species. All standing together, waiting. Thakor smiled. I may have told a few people you were coming home. A few? Day-Wan looked at the crowd. Well, maybe more than a few. Word spread quickly. Many of your former students wanted to be here. Some came from very far away. The airlock opened. Day-Wan stepped through. The crowd erupted in sound. Not cheering. Something deeper. Sounds of welcome, of love. Each species making their own noise of happiness. It was beautiful chaos. A figure pushed through the crowd. It was a Morgoth. 6-legged and covered in dark plates. Razor claws that could cut through steel. Venom glands that could kill most species in minutes. But this Morgoth moved carefully, gently. She approached Day-Wan and lowered her head. A sign of deep respect, teacher, the Morgoth said. Her voice was like music. I came as soon as I heard. Are you well, Vesha? Day-Wan smiled and reached out. He touched her head plates without fear. I am well. Thank you for coming. I would cross the galaxy for you. You know this, Vesha said. When I heard you were captured, I prepared to go to war. I am glad it was not necessary. 2 crystalline beings stepped forward. The Kethrin twins, Silvo and Malkir. Their bodies caught the light and scattered it in rainbow patterns. They moved in perfect sync with each other. They spoke together, their voices harmonizing. Father Day-Wan, we are here. We are glad you are safe. They touched his shoulders gently. Their crystal fingers could cut like glass, but they were so careful, so controlled, my bright ones, Day-Wan said. You have done so well. I hear you brought peace to the Outer Rim disputes. I'm proud we used your teachings, they said. Talk first, listen. Find common ground, it works. It always works. More former students came forward. Miran, the Terralith who now ran a mining company. She was massive and rock-like, but she moved gently around Day-Wan. Others he had taught. Others he had raised. Each one successful in their own way. Each one grateful. Then a human woman pushed through the crowd. She was in her 40s with streaks of gray in her hair. She wore practical clothes. Work clothes. Her face was lined with care and worry, but her eyes shone with joy. Young me, Day-Wan said warmly. She hugged him carefully. He was so frail now, so old. She had to be gentle. When did you get so old? She asked with tears in her eyes. Time moves for all of us, he said. But you are doing wonderful work. I heard about the new cubs, 5 new ones, Young Me said. 2 Vrelians, a Morgoth, a Kethrin, and something we have never seen before. A species from the far edge of the galaxy. They found her floating in a damaged pod. She is scared and alone. We are trying to figure out what she needs. I will help. Day-Wan said. You are supposed to be retired, Young Mai said with a smile. Retired people can still help. Just a little. The core stepped forward. He addressed the crowd. His voice carried authority. Listen, all of you. This human changed the galaxy. He changed our lives, but he cannot do it alone anymore. He is old now. He needs rest. But the work continues. The orphanage continues. If you want to honor him, support this place. Send resources, send money, send skilled workers. Make sure that what he started never stops. The crowd responded immediately. Voices calling out, promising support. Vesha announced a large donation from her university salary. The Catherine twins promised to use their diplomatic influence to get government funding. Miran pledged mining equipment and materials. Others joined in, one by one, building something bigger. Young Mai looked amazed. This is incredible. We will have more resources than we ever dreamed of. Use them well, Taewon said. Help more cubs. Teach them, love them, show them that they can be more than what others expect. The crowd slowly dispersed. They had said their welcomes. Now they would let Daewon rest. But they would be back. To visit, to help, to continue the work. Thakor walked with Daewon toward the residential section of the station. Young Mai came too. She wanted to show him something. They walked through the familiar corridors. Daewon had walked these halls for 40 years. Every corner held a memory. Here was where young Thakor had his first breakthrough. There was where Vesha learned to read. Around that corner was where the Catherine twins first harmonized their voices. Young Mi stopped at a door. The nursery, where the youngest cubs stayed. She opened it quietly. Inside, 5 small figures were playing under the watchful eyes of human staff. 2 Vrelian cubs, their scales still soft and light blue. A tiny Morgath, barely bigger than a cat. A Catherine that sparkled in the light. And something else. Something new. The new species was small and covered in soft fur. She had 4 eyes and 6 delicate limbs. She looked like nothing Daewon had ever seen. She was huddled in a corner watching the others play. Afraid, Daewon entered the room slowly. The cubs noticed him. The Vrelian cubs hissed defensively. The Morgath bristled. The Catherine made a warning chime. But the unknown cub just watched. Her 4 eyes were wide, curious. Daewon sat down on the floor. His joints protested, but he ignored them. He sat at the cub's level. He did not reach out. He did not speak. He just sat, patient, present, available. The other cubs slowly went back to playing. But the new cub kept watching Daewon. After a long moment, she took one small step toward him. Then another. Slowly, carefully, she approached. When she was close enough, Daewon extended his hand. Palm up, non-threatening. The cub sniffed it. Then very gently, she touched it with one delicate limb. Her fur was soft, warm. She made a sound, almost like a purr. Daewon smiled. Hello, little one. You are safe now. We will take care of you. We will help you grow strong. And one day you will do great things. Just like all the others, young Mi watched from the doorway. Tears ran down her face. This was why they did it. This moment. Taking fear and turning it into trust. Taking abandonment and turning it into family. The core stood beside her. His massive frame filled the doorway. He watched his father with the new cub. He remembered being that frightened child. Alone, angry, broken. And he remembered gentle hands. Patient voices. Unconditional love, that is what saves us, he said quietly. Not weapons, not strength, not power. Love. That is what changes everything. Young Mi nodded. That is what he taught us. That is what we teach them. They stood in silence, watching as the old human connected with the new cub. Around them, former students watched through communication screens. Vesha from her university office. The Catherine twins from their diplomatic ship. Miran from her mining station. Dozens of others. All of them watching. All of them remembering when they were the frightened cub. When Daewon had shown them kindness, the unknown cub climbed into Daewon's lap. She curled up there, feeling safe for the first time since her pod had been found. Daewon stroked her soft fur gently. He hummed a quiet tune. The same lullaby Jiwoo used to sing. And in that moment, watching this scene, everyone understood the truth about humans. They were not the strongest species, not the fastest, not the most advanced, but they had something more powerful than any weapon. They had the ability to love without limits, to see potential where others saw only danger, to create family from strangers, to turn predators into protectors. That was humanity's true power. That was what made them special. Not their technology, not their ships or weapons, but their hearts, their endless, stubborn, beautiful ability to love. Daewon looked up at young Mi and smiled. We have work to do. These little ones need us. They need to know they matter. They need to know they are loved. Young Mi smiled back through her tears. We will teach them, just like you taught us. The work continues, yes. Day-Wan said softly, looking down at the cub in his lap. The work continues. And it always will, as long as there are children who need help. As long as there are humans willing to love them, the work will continue. Outside the station, in the darkness of space, ships from a dozen species floated. All of them there to protect station harmony. All of them there because of one old human who had dared to love when others said it was too dangerous, who had raised monsters and turned them into heroes, and in the nursery, surrounded by cubs who would. 2 days passed on the Vrelian warship. Day-Wan spent his time talking with the crew. They brought him food and asked countless questions. They wanted to understand humans better. They wanted to understand how such a small, soft species could have such a big impact on the galaxy. Day-Wan taught them about human history, about how humans were once just simple hunters on a single planet. They were not the strongest animals on Earth. Lions were stronger, bears were bigger, snakes were more venomous. But humans had something special. They had persistence. They did not give up. If they wanted something, they kept trying until they got it. He told them about persistence hunting, how ancient humans would chase animals for hours, sometimes days. The animal would run. The human would follow. The animal would rest. The human would keep coming. Eventually, the animal would be too tired to run anymore. The human would catch it. Not through speed or strength, through patience and determination. That is why humans can raise predators, Day-Wan explained. We understand the predator mind. We are predators too, but we are also pack animals. We work together. We protect each other. We adopt others into our pack. Even different species, this is built into our nature. The warriors listened and learned. Krevtar especially seemed to understand. He had children of his own, 3 young ones. He talked about how hard it was to teach them control, how Vrelian cubs were naturally aggressive, violent. He worried about them. Day-Wan gave him advice. Simple things. Be consistent. Be patient. Show them that you love them even when they make mistakes. Teach them that strength is not about hurting others. It is about protecting others. Krevtar listened carefully. He took notes on a data pad. On the morning of the 3rd day, sensors detected a massive ship approaching. It was enormous. The flagship of the Vrelian fleet. The ship that Supreme Commander Thakor used to lead military operations. It was 5 times bigger than Krevtar's warship. Its weapons could destroy planets, but when it arrived, it did not come with threats. It sent a polite docking request. Krevtar approved it immediately. The crews from both ships worked together to prepare for the transfer. Everyone moved with military precision. But there was also excitement in the air. The Supreme Commander himself was coming. Day-Wan stood in the docking bay. Krevtar and his warriors stood with him. The airlock opened with a hiss. Guards came through first. 20 elite warriors, the best of the best. They took positions around the bay. Then more officers, high-ranking ones, their scales marked with symbols of honor. Finally, Thakor himself stepped through. He was massive, over 9 feet tall. His body was covered with armor like scales darker than midnight. Scars crossed his arms, chest, and face. Each scar told a story of battle. He looked like what he was. A warrior who had fought 1,000 fights and won them all. But when he saw Day-Wan, all that fierceness melted away. His fierce eyes became gentle. His warrior stance softened. He walked forward slowly, carefully, like he was afraid he might break something precious. "Father," he said, just that one word. His voice was thick with emotion. "Hello, Thakor," Day-Wan said. His voice was warm, full of love. "Come here." The Supreme Commander of the Vrelian fleet knelt down. He lowered himself so he was at eye level with the old human. Day-Wan reached out and placed his small wrinkled hand on Thakor's scarred face. It was a gesture he had done many times when Thakor was young. When the frightened cub needed comfort. "Look at you," Day-Wan said softly. "So strong, so accomplished. I am proud of you, my son." Thakor closed his eyes. A single tear ran down his scaled face. It was a shocking sight. The most powerful Vrelian alive crying. But no one in that bay thought less of him for it. They understood. This was not weakness. "This was love. I have missed you," Thakor said. "Every day I have missed you? Why did you never visit?" "Because you needed to become your own warrior," Day-Wan said. "If I had stayed close, you would have always looked to me for answers. You would never have learned to trust yourself. I had to let you go." It was the hardest thing I ever did. But it was necessary. You could have called. Written. Something. Would you have stayed focused on your duties? Or would you have come running back to me? Daewon asked gently. You know the answer. You needed to build your life. To find your place. And you did. Look at what you have become. Thakor opened his eyes. Everything I am, I learned from you. You taught me that true strength comes from control. That a real warrior protects the weak. That mercy is not weakness. That honor is everything. Those lessons saved my life many times. They made me who I am. No, Daewon said. I just helped you see what was already inside you. The goodness was always there. You just needed someone to show you how to find it. How to use it. Thakor stood up. He turned to his officers. This human saved my life. When I was 5 years old, I wanted to die. I was alone, broken, full of hate. He and Mother Jiwoo took me in. They fed me, taught me, loved me. They gave me a future. Everything I have done, every battle I have won, every warrior I have trained, it all started with them. He looked at Krevtar. Captain, you captured this human without knowing who he was. There is no blame in that. You could not have known. But now you do know. And now the whole fleet will know. This human, and all the humans at Station Harmony, are under permanent protection of the Vrelian Empire. Anyone who threatens them threatens me personally. Spread this message to every ship, every station, every outpost. Krevtar saluted. Yes, Supreme Commander. It will be done. Thakor looked back at Daewon. I am taking you home now. To Station Harmony. But I have a request. I want you to come to the War Academy. I want you to speak to the young warriors. To teach them what you taught me. They need to hear your lessons. They need to understand that being a warrior is about more than just fighting. Daewon was quiet for a moment. I'm an old man. I do not know if I have much teaching left in me. Please, Father, Thakor said. The young warriors today are becoming too aggressive, too violent. They think strength is only about how many enemies they can kill. They need to hear from someone who understands true strength, someone who lived it, please. Daewon looked into Thakor's eyes. He saw the same young cub he had known years ago. Still wanting to learn, still wanting to be better. He nodded. I will do it. For you. And for them. Thakor's communication device beeped. He checked it and smiled. Father, you are getting more requests. Vesha wants you to speak at the Galactic University. The Kethrin Assembly wants you to mediate a dispute. The Terralith Mining Guild wants your advice on worker relations. Everyone wants your time. Daewon laughed. It was a tired laugh. I retired for a reason. I'm old, I want to rest, but I suppose the galaxy has other plans for me. You changed the galaxy, Thakor said. One child at a time. Now those children are leaders. They want to give back. They want to share what you taught them. You created a legacy, Father. The greatest legacy anyone could have. It was not just me, Daewon said. It was Jiwoo. It was Bitna. It was Taesung and Young Mi and all the others who worked at the orphanage. It was all of us together, but you led them, Thakor said. You showed them the way. That is what leaders do. Daewon was moved onto the flagship. His quarters there were massive, comfortable. They had modified the furniture to human size. Thakor had planned ahead. The Supreme Commander wanted his father to be comfortable. As they traveled toward Station Harmony, Thakor spent every free moment with Daewon. They talked about everything. About the old days at the orphanage. About Thakor's rise through the ranks. About the battles he had fought. About the decisions he had made. Thakor asked for advice. There was a conflict brewing between two Vrelian clans. He did not know how to handle it without violence. Daewon listened and offered wisdom. Simple wisdom. Talk to both sides. Find what they have in common. Show them that peace serves them better than war. Help them see each other as people, not enemies. Thakor absorbed every word. He took notes. He asked questions. Even as Supreme Commander, he was still the student. Still learning from his father. And Daewon was patient, teaching, guiding, just like he always had. On the 5th day of their journey, a message came through. It was from Young Mi at Station Harmony. She had heard about Daewon's capture and rescue. She was relieved he was safe. She was also excited. She had news. New cubs had arrived at the orphanage. 5 of them. Different species. All needing help. Daewon smiled when he heard. The work continues. Even without me. That is good. That is how it should be. But Thakor looked at him with knowing eyes. You will want to help when you return. I know you. You will not be able to stay away from the cubs. It is who you are, Daewon did not deny it. Maybe I will help a little. Just a little. I am too old to do the hard work. But I can tell stories. I can teach. I can be there for them. That is all they need, Thakor said. Someone to be there. Someone to care. That is what you gave me. That is what saved me. Krevtar moved to the communication panel on Daewon's small ship. His large fingers moved carefully over the controls. He opened a secure channel to the Vrelian command station. While he spoke in his own language, Daewon stayed seated. He was tired. Old bones did not like long days. One of the younger warriors approached Daewon. He kept his weapons lowered. A sign of respect. Human elder. May I ask you something? Of course. Daewon said. The warrior hesitated. My clan brother went to Station Harmony 10 years ago. He was very young. His name was Torvan. Did you know him? Daewon thought for a moment. Then his face brightened. Torvan. Yes, small for his age. Loved to climb. Was always on top of things. Walls, equipment, everything. The warrior made a sound that might have been a laugh. Yes. That is him. He still climbs everything. It drives his commanders crazy. But he is the best scout in our fleet. Nothing escapes his eyes, Daewon smiled. I am glad to hear he is well. Tell him Daewon remembers him. Tell him I still have the drawing he made for me. He drew our station. Very detailed. Very precise, the warrior touched his chest. A Vrelian sign of deep respect. I will tell him. Thank you for caring for him when his parents could not. Krevtar returned from the communication panel. His expression was hard to read. I have spoken with command. They are checking your story. They are also sending an urgent message to Supreme Commander Thakor. He is in another sector, leading a training mission. It will take time for him to receive it. Daewon nodded. I understand. You have to be sure. I do not mind waiting. One of the warriors had been looking through a data device. Captain, I found information. The human is telling the truth. Station Harmony exists. There are records of the orphanage. The Frontier Species Integration Center. It operated for 40 years. The warrior continued reading. It says here that over 300 cubs were raised at this facility. 37 different species. All predator species. All considered dangerous by galactic standards. 300? Krevtar looked at Daewon. You raised 300 predators? My wife and I did not do it alone. Daewon said. We had staff. Other humans who believed in the work. Young Mi is one of them. She runs the center now. I am retired, the warrior kept reading. It says many of the cubs went on to important positions. Diplomats, scientists, military leaders, business owners. There is a list here. He scrolled through the information. His eyes grew wide. By the ancestors, half the current Galactic Council was raised by humans. How did we not know this? Because they do not talk about it much, Daewon said. Some species think it is shameful to need help. To be weak as children, but all children are weak. All children need love and guidance. There is no shame in that. Krevtar sat down again. He looked at Daewon differently now. With something close to awe. You changed the galaxy. With kindness, not just me, Daewon corrected. It was all of us. Jiwoo especially. She died 3 years ago. She was the heart of everything. I was just a teacher. She was the one who could see what each child needed. She understood them on a deep level. I am sorry for your loss, Krevtar said. In Vrelian culture, losing a mate was serious. They bonded for life, thank you. Daewon looked down at his hands. I miss her every day, but I see her in every child we helped. Her spirit lives on. The communication panel beeped. Krevtar jumped to answer it. A voice came through. It was speaking in Vrelian, but with great authority. Krevtar stood straighter. He responded formally. After a moment, the language switched to Galactic Common. The voice was deep and powerful. Let me speak to him. Let me speak to Daewon. Krevtar looked at Daewon. The old human stood slowly and walked to the panel. The screen activated. A massive Vrelian face appeared. He was covered in scars. His scales were deep black. His eyes were fierce. But when he saw Daewon, those fierce eyes filled with emotion. Father, the Supreme Commander said. His voice broke on the word hello, Thakor. Daewon said softly. You have grown. It has been too long. Thakor said. Why did you never visit? Why did you never call? Because you needed to find your own path, Daewon said. If I had stayed close, you would have always looked to me for answers. You needed to become your own warrior, your own leader. And you did. I am very proud of you. Thakor was quiet for a moment. You taught me everything. How to think, how to lead. How to be strong without being cruel. Everything I am I learned from you and Mother Jiwoo. She passed away. Daewon said. 3 years ago, I know. Thakor said. I felt it. I do not know how, but I felt it. I mourned for 10 days. My officers did not understand. But I mourned. She saved my life. She gave me a future. She loved you very much, Daewon said. You and all the others. Thakor turned his head and spoke to someone off screen. Then he looked back. I am coming to get you. I am diverting my flagship. I will be there in 2 days. Captain Krevtar will keep you safe and comfortable until I arrive. That is not necessary, Daewon said. I can continue to station Harmony in my ship. No, Thakor said firmly. You will not travel alone through dangerous space in that old transport. You will wait for me, and then I will take you home myself. This is not a request, Father. This is an order from the Supreme Commander. Daewon smiled. As you command, Supreme Commander. Thakor looked at Krevtar through the screen. Captain, you did not know who this human was, but now you do. He is under my personal protection. If any harm comes to him, I will hold you responsible. Do you understand? Krevtar saluted. Yes, Supreme Commander, but may I say I would protect him anyway, now that I know what he has done. What all humans at Station Harmony have done. Good, Thakor said. Then he spoke more quietly. Father, I have much to tell you. So much has happened. Wait for me, please. I will wait, Daewon said. I am not going anywhere. The screen went dark. Krevtar turned to his warriors. You heard the Supreme Commander. This human is now the most important being on this ship. More important than me. More important than all of us. We will move to a safe location and wait. Prepare guest quarters on our ship for him. The best quarters. Make sure he has everything he needs. The warriors moved quickly to follow orders. Krevtar looked at Daewon. I apologize for how this started. For threatening you. I did not know. There is nothing to apologize for. Daewon said. You were doing your duty. Protecting your territory. That is what good warriors do. Within an hour, Daewon was moved to the Vrelian warship. They gave him a large room. Comfortable by their standards, though the furniture was too big for him. The warriors brought him food. They asked him questions. They wanted to hear more stories, and Daewon told them. He told them about all the children he had raised. He explained human philosophy about family, about how humans believed that love could cross any boundary, any species, any distance. The warriors listened like students. They were learning something new. That humans were not weak. That softness was not the same as weakness. That the ability to love was its own kind of strength. Perhaps the strongest kind. Word began to spread through communication channels. The old human who raised predators, the human who taught the Supreme Commander. Soon other messages started arriving, from all over the galaxy. A message from Vesha, the Morgath philosopher. She had heard about the capture. She sent a strongly worded message to the Vrelian command. She demanded that Daewon be released immediately. She said if any harm came to him, there would be consequences. A Morgath threatening the Vrelian Empire. It was unheard of. But she did it for Daewon, a message from the Kithran twins, Silvo and Malkir. They were on a diplomatic mission, but they were ready to abandon it. They would come for Daewon if needed. Their crystalline voices sang with concern, messages from dozens of others. Former students, all of them successful, all of them powerful in their own ways, all of them ready to move heaven and stars to protect the old human who had saved them. Krevtar read these messages with growing amazement. He looked at Daewon, who was calmly drinking tea. You have an army, a whole army of the most powerful beings in the galaxy, and they would all come if you called. Daewon shook his head. They are not an army. They are family. There is a difference. An army fights for duty, family fights for love. And that, Krevtar realized, was the true power of humans, not their technology, not their weapons. Their ability to create family from enemies, to turn fear into love, to raise monsters and teach them to be heroes. Krevtar stood silent for a long moment. His warriors waited. Finally, he spoke. Tell me more. Daewon sat down on a supply box. His old body was tired from standing. Krevtar noticed and pulled over another crate for himself. The other warriors found places to sit or lean. It felt strange. Minutes ago, this had been a capture. Now it felt like something else. Like students listening to a teacher. The orphanage started 43 years ago. Daewon began. My wife Jiwoo and I were living on Station Harmony. She was a doctor who studied alien biology. I was a teacher. We had no children of our own. One day, a cargo ship arrived with a problem. They had found a small creature in their hold. It had stowed away on their ship. The creature was hurt and scared. No one knew what to do with it. What was it? Krevtar asked. A Morgoth cub, Daewon said. The warriors made sounds of surprise. Morgoths were known across the galaxy. Six-legged hunters with razor claws. They could see in complete darkness. Their bite carried venom. Most species feared them. The station's security wanted to space it. Daewon continued. They said it was too dangerous to keep. But Jiwoo looked at it and saw a baby. Just a baby. Lost and alone, she brought it home and it did not kill you? A warrior asked. No. Daewon smiled at the memory. It tried at first. It was so small, maybe 2 months old. It hissed and struck at us. But it was also starving. Jiwoo figured out what it needed to eat. She fed it carefully. She sang to it. Human lullabies. After 3 days, it stopped trying to bite her. After a week, it followed her everywhere. Humans have something special, Daewon said. He looked at Krevtar. We are not the strongest. We are not the fastest. Our claws are dull. Our teeth are weak. But we have this gift. We can make family with almost anyone. We see a baby, any baby, and something inside us wants to protect it, to care for it, to love it. One of the warriors made a clicking sound. This is pack bonding. We have heard of this human trait, yes. Daewon nodded. Humans evolved as hunters. We hunted in groups. We raised our young together. We even adopted the young of other species sometimes. In our history, humans raised wolf cubs. Those wolves became dogs. They became our partners, our family. We did the same with many animals. Cats, horses, birds. If it was young and needed help, humans would try to save it. The first Morgoth cub lived. Daewon continued his story. We named her Vesha. She grew up in our home. She learned to be gentle with her claws. She learned to speak Galactic Common. She learned to read. When she was grown, she left to find her own kind. But she visited us many times over the years. After Vesha, others came. Word spread in strange ways through the galaxy. If you had a predator cub that no one wanted, there were humans on Station Harmony who would take it. Ship crews brought us babies they found, sometimes whole groups of cubs whose parents had died. We took them all. Krevtar leaned forward. Tell me about Thakor. How did he come to you? Daewon closed his eyes, remembering. I was 32. Jiwoo was 30. We had been running the orphanage for 5 years. We had helped maybe 20 cubs by then. Thakor arrived on a medical transport. A doctor had found him on a battlefield. The Vrelian clan wars were happening. His entire family was dead. He was trying to survive by eating the dead. The warriors shifted. This was hard to hear. It spoke of deep shame in their culture. He was 5 years old. Daewon said softly, just 5. Small for his age because he had not eaten well. His scales were dull. His eyes were empty. When I first saw him, I thought he might already be dead inside. Just a body with no spirit. How did you reach him? Krevtar asked. His voice was rough with emotion, slowly, Daewon said. Very slowly. He would not let anyone touch him. He would not speak. We gave him food, but he would not eat while we watched. So we left food and walked away. We did this for weeks, just leaving food, walking away, showing him we would not hurt him. Jiwoo started singing to him. Through the door of his room. Human songs, soft and gentle. After a month, he started eating while we were in the room. After 2 months, he spoke his first word to us. It was in Vrelian. It meant hungry. We had other staff by then. Daewon continued. One was a young human woman named Bitna. She was strong and athletic. She knew human martial arts, fighting styles from Earth. She offered to teach Thakor. He was interested. Fighting was something he understood. Bitna taught him discipline, how to control his body, how to control his anger. She was patient but firm. When he lost control, she would stop the lesson. When he showed control, she praised him. Slowly, he learned that he did not have to be ruled by his rage. I taught him other things, Daewon said. How to read, how to think, how to question. I taught him that warriors are not just fighters. The greatest warriors are protectors. They use their strength to keep others safe. I told him stories of human warriors who showed mercy, who fought only when they had to, who knew that the hardest battle is the one you choose not to fight. Krevtar was very quiet now. And he believed you? Not at first. Daewon smiled. He argued with me constantly. He said I was soft, weak. He said human ideas would get him killed, but I never argued back. I just kept teaching, kept showing him. And Jiwoo kept loving him. She treated him like a son. She tended his scales. She made sure he ate well. She worried about him. One day when he was 8 years old, something happened. There was a young Kethrin in the orphanage. A small one, new, still very scared. Another older cub, a Terralith, was bullying the Kethrin, being cruel. Dakor saw this. He stepped between them. He did not fight the Terralith. He just stood there, using his body to protect the small one. He said, "We do not hurt those who are weaker. That is not strength. That is cowardice." Daewon's eyes were bright. Those were my words, coming from his mouth. That was when I knew he would be all right. That was when I knew he understood. Krevtar stood and walked to the small window. He looked out at the stars. When did he leave? When he was 14, Daewon said. He had grown strong, smart. Other Vrelians heard about him. They came to see. They saw a young warrior with honor, with control. They asked him to return to Vrelian space, to join their clans. He was torn. He wanted to stay with us. But he also wanted to find his people. I told him to go. Daewon said quietly. I told him his place was with his own kind, that he would do great things. He cried. I had never seen him cry before. He asked if we would forget him. Jiwoo held him and said that love does not forget, that no matter where he went, he would always be our child. The ship was silent. One of the warriors had moisture in his eyes. Vrelians did not cry often, but this story touched something deep. Krevtar turned around. This Vesha, the Morgath. What became of her? Daewon smiled. She teaches philosophy at the Galactic University. She writes about ethics and mercy. She is one of the most respected thinkers in the galaxy, all because Jiwoo saw a scared baby and brought it home. You said there were others. Krevtar said. Tell me, so Daewon told them. He told about the Kethrin twins, Silvo and Malkir. Silicon-based life forms, sharp as glass. They could barely speak when they arrived. His staff member, Tai-Sung, taught them through music. Human instruments. The vibrations helped them communicate. Now they served as ambassadors, bringing peace to disputed territories. He told about Miran, a Terralith who came to them angry at the universe, who learned patience through gardening, who now led a mining company that treated workers fairly, who created jobs for species that others would not hire. He told story after story, each one showing how humans had taken something the galaxy feared and helped it become something beautiful. Not by changing what these beings were, but by showing them how to use their nature for good instead of destruction. Krevtar listened to everything. When Daewon finally stopped talking, the captain looked at his warriors. Then he looked back at the old human. I need to contact my command. This changes everything. The old transport ship moved slowly through the dark space. Inside, Daewon sat in his pilot chair and drank tea from a metal cup. His hands were wrinkled and spotted with age, but they held the cup steady. He was 73 years old and he had seen many things in his long life. Today he was heading home after visiting an old friend on a distant station. The warning light on his control panel started to flash red. Daewon looked at it and took another sip of tea. He was not surprised. This part of space was known for pirates and raiders. He had known the risk when he chose this route. It was shorter and his old bones were tired. A massive ship appeared in front of him. It was 10 times bigger than his small transport. The hull was dark blue and covered with sharp edges. Daewon recognized the design. Vrelian warship. The warrior race that ruled this sector of space with violence and fear. A voice came through his communication system. It was deep and rough like stones grinding together. The words were in Galactic Common, but the accent was thick. Human vessel, you have entered Vrelian space without permission. Stop your engines. Prepare to be boarded. Any resistance will result in your death. Daewon pressed the button to respond. He spoke in a calm voice. Yes, of course. My engines are stopping now. I have no weapons on this ship. You may board whenever you are ready. He shut down his engines and finished his tea. Then he stood up slowly, his joints making small popping sounds. He walked to the middle of his small cargo hold and waited. The boarding tube connected to his ship with a loud clang. The airlock opened with a hiss. 6 Vrelian warriors pushed through the door. They were huge, each one standing over 8 feet tall. Their skin looked like blue armor made of thick scales. Each warrior had 4 arms and each arm held a weapon. Their faces had no nose, just slits for breathing. Their eyes glowed yellow in the dim light. The captain came in last. He was even bigger than the others. His scales were darker, almost black. Scars covered his arms and chest. He looked at Daewon with cold eyes. "You are alone?" the captain asked. His voice made the air vibrate. "Yes, just me," Daewon said. He stood with his hands at his sides, relaxed. The captain moved closer. He looked down at the small old human. "You are not afraid." "Should I be?" Daewon asked. There was something in his eyes, something that looked almost like amusement. The captain made a sound like angry breathing. His warriors moved around the ship, checking for hidden weapons or valuable cargo. They found nothing, just an old man's belongings and basic supplies. "What is your purpose in this sector?" the captain demanded. "I am going home," Daewon said simply. "Home? Where is home for an old human?" The captain leaned down, trying to intimidate him. "Station Harmony. In the frontier territories." One of the warriors made a hissing sound. "Station Harmony? That is the place with the young ones. The mixed species station, yes," Daewon said. He smiled a little. "I used to work there." The captain grabbed a metal crate and sat on it. The crate bent under his weight. "You will tell me why you are not afraid. Humans are weak, soft, you should be trembling. You should be begging for your life. But you stand there like you are waiting for friends to arrive." Daewon walked to his small storage cabinet. The warriors raised their weapons, but he moved so slowly and calmly that they lowered them again. He took out another metal cup and a tea packet. He began making tea. "Would you like some tea?" he asked the captain. The captain stared at him. "What tea?" "It is a human drink. Hot water with leaves. It is calming." Daewon poured hot water into the cup. "I do not want your tea. I want answers." Daewon took a sip from his cup. "I'm not afraid because I have been surrounded by predators all my life. For 40 years I worked with them every day. I fed them. I taught them. I raised them from babies." The warriors looked at each other. One of them laughed. It was a harsh barking sound. "You raised predators? What kind of predators? Small animals?" the warrior asked. "No," Daewon said. "I ran an orphanage. A special one. We took in cubs that other people threw away. Cubs from species that the galaxy called too dangerous, too violent, too hard to control." The laughter stopped. The captain leaned forward. "You are saying you raised alien predator cubs? That is your story?" The captain spoke with doubt in his voice. "It is not a story. It is what I did." Daewon looked directly at the captain. "For 40 years my wife and I took care of children that no one else wanted. Kethrans, Morgaths, Teralith Young, and others." The captain stood up suddenly. The crate clattered to the floor. "And Vrelians?" Daewon nodded. "Yes, we had several Vrelian cubs over the years. The first one came to us when I was 32 years old. He was very young, very angry. His clan had been destroyed in a war. Someone found him in the ruins and brought him to us. No one else would take him. What was his name?" The captain spoke quietly now. His voice was dangerous. "Thakor. His name was Thakor." The warriors went completely still. The captain's eyes grew wide. He spoke in his own language to his warriors. They responded quickly, their voices shocked. The captain turned back to Daewon. "Thakor is the supreme commander of the Vrelian fleet. He is the most powerful warrior in our entire race. You are claiming that you raised him?" "I am not claiming anything. I am simply telling you what happened." Daewon finished his tea. "Thakor came to us when he was very small, maybe 5 years old in human age. He was so full of rage. He attacked anyone who came near him. He broke things. He refused to eat. He wanted to die. And you made him into the supreme commander?" The captain sounded different now. Less threatening. More confused. "No, I helped him become who he was meant to be." "That is different." Daewon looked at each warrior in turn. "I taught him that strength without control is just destruction. That a true warrior knows when to fight and when to show mercy. That being powerful means protecting those who are weaker. not crushing them. One of the warriors stepped forward. He was younger than the others. His scales were lighter blue. Captain Krevtar, we should contact command. If this human is speaking truth, Krevtar raised one hand. Wait. He looked at Daewon with new eyes. How did you do it? Frelly and Young are wild, violent. How did a soft human control such a creature? Daewon smiled. It was a gentle smile, the kind that reached his eyes and made the wrinkles there deepen. I did not control him. I loved him. He said it simply, like it was the most obvious answer in the galaxy. That is what humans do. We love. Even when it is hard. Even when it is dangerous. Even when everyone else says we should not.